Hello, everyone. Ty Kimes here, your Missouri Blue Star Families Chapter Director. It is Tuesday, and you know what that means. I've got my tea. It's Tea with Ty. And today I'm so excited because we are going to be talking about Blue Star families. And not only are we talking about Blue Star families, we're talking about our annual military family lifestyle survey. You guys know we keep talking about that. You keep hearing about it. We're definitely asking you take the survey, tell your spouses to take the survey. And we're going to do a little bit more of that. But I really want to take this opportunity today to discuss more about what it means to us. So I'm excited to bring on a fellow chapter director out in San Diego. We have Maggie Meza. Welcome, Maggie.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yay. So how's the weather out there in San Diego?
Well, I mean, it's always sunny in San Diego, so.
It's not always sunny in Missouri, but I'm glad it's always sunny in San Diego. And over in New York, we have Allyson. Allyson, I don't want to butcher your last name. I'm always like, this is Allyson over in New York. Please tell us.
Everybody. It's good to be here. I'm Allyson Harasimowicz, Chapter Director for the Craig New York Tri-State Region. Thanks for inviting me here today. It's going to be fun.
I'm so glad that you're here. And as we saw the video, like you were so talented. You were singing last year about the annual military family lifestyle. This year, you're like dunking yourself in water. I mean, it's just, I love it. I love the energy.
While you're doing it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And brand new to our area, well, actually not to our area, but to the chapters, we have Suzy Malloy. Welcome, Suzy, down in Tampa. Oh, Suzy, I think we got you on mute.
My bad. So you can tell I'm new. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here and be part of Blue Star Families, and really excited to have our Tampa chapter take off.
We are so happy that you're here. And don't worry, we all need one of those buttons, just like red light, green light for the mute, because it happens. I don't care how many times we're on this. It's just part of our virtual world. So welcome. And speaking of new, we have a deploy fellow on, Miss Tonya Murphy. Welcome. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited to be here with you guys today.
Yes, we are excited that you are a part of the team. So definitely looking forward to seeing the impacts that you and the rest of the fellows are making. You're already like hitting the ground running. So I'm loving it. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. And a lot of fun.
We are so excited, you guys, because we have the great honor of having our CEO, Kathy Roth-Douquet. Welcome for being our guest. Thank you. Welcome.
It's awesome to be here, and I love being here with the other chapter directors and with Tonya. It's like a tea party.
It is a tea party.
I know. But I want my pretty cup like you have. Next time I come on, Ty, I got to bring my little grandmother cups, that I got up in the little cases upstairs.
Yes, please definitely have that with you, because let me tell you, I love using my teacups all the time. I use them regularly, and it just feels good. Sometimes to just kind of switch things up. So Kathy, we're here to talk about the annual military family lifestyle survey and Blue Star families. And really, like, the question that I like to get started with is, so because most people are still learning, they're learning about Blue Star families, they're learning your story. So I'm hoping that you can just tell us a little bit more about how Blue Star families all began.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk about this. I love talking about it always, because, things always feel like, oh, this is something that's always been here, but everything starts somewhere. And Blue Star families started with friends talking to each other, and it started with ideas, and it started with getting advice. And one of the earliest pieces of advice we got had to do with the survey and making it public. So here's the story. Blue Star families, we got started around the same time that Michelle Obama was first becoming First Lady and was thinking about supporting military families. And I had a friend of mine who was working for Michelle Obama, so I knew about what was going on there. And I knew that she kind of loved military families because she felt connected to us. She had this nice life, and all of a sudden her husband decides he needs to, go into public service. And that means she has to leave her job, and he's gone all the time, and she has to take care of her kids, and there's risk involved. And, she felt a real kinship, I think, with a lot of things we were going on with. But at the same time, she wasn't necessarily sure that she should take on this issue, because it's easy to get stuff wrong when you don't come from the community yourself, right? And so I thought, why don't we tell her what military families are thinking about and worried about, so she doesn't have to worry about coming up with the right answer. We'll tell her what people have on their minds, and we'll go ahead and we'll field a survey, and we'll let military families themselves, military spouses themselves, because back then it was, those were who we reached, and now we have a much, much broader reach. We weren't even an organization yet. So we just went out on Facebook with a bunch of friends and friends of friends who, were surveyed in graduate school, learning about research programs. I've got a graduate degree in policy. We made up the survey. We got over 1,000 people to respond, and we gave it to the First Lady's staff and Dr. Biden's staff so they could work with it. But really, the answers that we got were so interesting. And we found that when we talked to people who were outside of the military, like a lot of them were things we knew, but they weren't people outside of the military knew. One of the big findings was we asked, do you feel like the general public understands and appreciates the things you do for the country? And 94% of people said, no, I don't. I don't think the population understands and knows what we're doing for the country. And that wasn't so surprising to us in 2009, any of you who were serving back then. But people who were not in the military, they were shocked by that number. And it just went to tell us how important data was. Michelle Obama, when she announced joining forces, she talked about that number, and she said, there's one thing I want to do. I want to see that number move. Having the stories, hearing what the families themselves are experiencing that no one else can know unless you tell your truth, and then giving people something that they can measure, that they can try to change. It's very, very powerful. One other thing I want to say about this is that I had a good friend who was not a military family member. I worked with her when I worked in the White House years ago. Her name is Rita Jo Lewis. Tonya, you might have met her because she's on our racial equity committee. And she said to me, you have to make this survey public, because it's great that you did it and you know it. It's great you shared it with the First Lady, but you have to bring it out there. And that's what started us doing the annual Military Family Lifestyle Survey, because we made it public. People were super interested in it. And we said, we have to keep doing it. We have to be able to see how things change over time. And we have to figure out what we haven't been asking that we need to start asking.
Wow, that's a lot of really good stuff. I'm sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a story. So even I'm learning. Thank you so much for sharing it. And it's very important. You said it was a powerful statement. And no one knows your story unless you share it. And so please make sure that you are sharing your story by taking that survey. So Kathy, because we've been doing this survey, you've been doing this survey for years now. So in what ways have you seen changes made in the military community that has been, credited to the survey?
So much. It's so much more than you would ever even imagine or hope for, and again, I think it goes to the power of storytelling. I mean, one of the issues is that business of two people understand and appreciate what we do, and calling on people more and more to be able to tell that story. So we've been able to move it over time. But I would say in 2010, we started really pushing this idea of military spouse and employment. Now, people in general didn't even know military members had spouses, let alone that they needed jobs, And so for us to tell that story, and not only did we start seeing, 24, 26% unemployment rate and really getting that number out there, but we were able to then, we worked with the Sorensen Center for Social Impact, who, there's my dog, we've done a number of programs. And we said, not only do we have this unemployment, but what does it cost the U.S. economy? And we were able to show it costs the U.S. economy $1 billion a year, every year, in unutilized economic productivity, people who are qualified to work and want to work but aren't able to work. And then we were able to really start moving the needle on the amount of attention that got paid to military spouse unemployment. Now, we certainly haven't solved the problem. It actually hasn't budged that much, but we've gotten a lot more people involved in it. We've gotten consensus that this is an issue everyone needs to care about. And we've got more information about what the underlying causes are so we can find solutions. And honestly, we've seen that happen again and again and again with the survey, that we have illuminated something. USAA, the USO, many organizations tell us they wait for the survey to come out, and then they base their programming or their funding on what the survey tells them are the areas of the greatest need.
So last year, there were some interesting things that kind of came out in the survey. Was there anything that kind of stood out to you for the 2020 annual Military Family Lifestyle Survey from last year?
Yeah, I mean, there's always such unbelievably fascinating things that come out of the survey each year. I mean, one of the, I think, things that has to completely arrest anybody is that we saw that of the military spouses who were employed, 42% of them lost their jobs during COVID. That is an astounding number. And then of the remaining people, right, 42% of that lost their job. So that means, 56% didn't. Almost all of those, 47% of those who didn't lose their, 47% of the remaining lost hours. So they had their work reduced. So what we saw is that there was a huge financial hit to military families from COVID. And no one in America has any way of knowing that unless we get that data and we tell the story. Because if you're in America, you think, well, the military people, they've all got their paychecks. They're sitting pretty. But no, it's not, we lost that second income. Those of us who had it, almost 100% lost that second income. And then we had so many more expenses because of the moves and the delayed moves and all the other things that went along with it. So I thought that was really, really important. I also loved us digging into the analysis of the impossible choice. So often people stovepipe what the issues are. Let's look at financial readiness. Let's look at education. Let's look at housing. Let's look at, as though each of these things exist on their own. And we were able to, with this survey, put together the impossible choice between children's education and financial security. Because guess what? If you want to live in a school district that has good schools, how expensive are those houses? They're expensive. So you got to choose between, can I live within my means by choosing a house that, the payment for this house is within my budget, or do I prioritize my children's education and live in a place? So it turns out we're not profligate. Everyone says to us, how do we teach these military families to better manage their finances? It's not that we're buying big screen TVs. We're trying to set our children up for success.
Right.
Right? And I could go on and on, believe me. I think you guys know me well enough, I could go on and on. Let me throw out one other thing. Last year, we launched our racial equity and inclusion initiative because of the Black Lives Matter movement and the George Floyd murders. We're coming on the anniversary tomorrow. Why didn't we do it 5, 6, 7 years ago? That's bad on us, but we're doing it now. And so we're starting to look at all of these issues we've looked at before, but through the lens of race. Well, what did we see? That spouse unemployment number really hitting military spouses of color much harder than it's hitting majority military spouses. 27% in our survey, military spouses of color unemployed, 17% white military spouses. That's an important number, and we have to look at it, and we have to understand it. And our solutions have to take that into account. So this is the kind of work that we do. Sometimes we ask over and over again questions to understand them differently and better. Same thing with women in uniform. We should just ask, what do spouses say? What do service members say? And then we said, well, wait a minute. What if the service members are female instead of male? Are they answering differently? Turns out they're answering really differently. But because it's every year, we get to come back and ask the questions and look at them deeper and more.
And see that change. And it's really important, I think, too, to let everyone know this is why we ask year after year. I always shared when I first started, Kathy, as a volunteer, they were like, take the survey. You need to take the survey. And I would just say, okay, sure. I love the organization so much. Whatever you asked, I was like, okay, done. But really, truly being able to identify then that you're addressing the needs and to be able to watch it on this side, it's really, really important. And I I was retiring. My husband was retiring at the time, in 2015, and life changes. And so it's a matter of being able to go back and share your story and share the perspectives, because it does change. So Kathy, I kind of want to go back because you said so many good things. One thing that I thought about like your first time meeting with when you and your group of friends that kind of sat together, because according to our military family lifestyle survey results last year, 40% of the respondents didn't feel like they belonged in their community. And so I'm curious, thinking back to that conversation that you had with military spouse friends, when you all discussed the need for Blue Star families, do you still see some of those similarities today?
I would say that our consciousness has been raised over the years. So, a lot of times when I was starting out, I worried about my kids, but I never thought about how does this stuff apply to me? I thought, how do I set my kids up for success? And I felt, my neighbors, I saw some of the things my neighbors were going through, and I thought, oh boy, I don't know how these young moms with the, special need kids, and they're, moving again and again. And, I'm very strong. So it's not really me who has any needs. But, as we learn these things, like as we talked about spouse unemployment, which was not a first line issue for us at the beginning, because it was about me. So I don't think about that. And I'm like, I have really been unemployed or earned 10% of my income or less of what I earned before I was married to my husband so many times. And that's actually something that is real, and you can actually think about things that affect you and realize that's not just something you have to shoulder, but something that can be part of a discussion that is like, is this really in everybody's best interest? Is it in the best interest of my family, of my community, of my military, for us to take that kind of hit to our family's income? I think even the loneliness thing, I never thought about that in terms of myself. I'm a super, like, you guys know me, I'm a super network person. I get everything done through people I know, and, God help you if you know me, because I'm going to be asking you for help, But that, especially when I started, we didn't have Zoom. A lot of times we didn't have very good internet, and we didn't have cell phones. I was often, really alone. And, I think of myself as a very lucky person who's had great jobs and had a great career. But there were times where I was like the only person of my religion living in a place, and all people could talk to me about was other people they've known in my religions and their other time of life, And so that's fine, but it also doesn't make you feel like I'm in a place where I can really relax. And so even coming to understand that some of these issues that affect everyone also were part of my story, I think that's something each of us can kind of come to own. And it doesn't make you a victim. It doesn't diminish you. It doesn't mean you're not, on the program and going forward, but it does mean that we can find compassion for other people by also having compassion for ourselves.
Absolutely. See, I'm so happy. Aren't you guys happy? We're listening to Kathy Roth-Douquet today, guys. And this is excellent information. Thank you, Kathy, so much for sharing. And I think it makes it real. And I think that's one thing that people need to see, is that we're, who are the humans behind doing all of the work? Who are the people that are truly out there advocating and being able to know their story? And there might be something that relates. And I think it's important that, our community knows that, that there may be other people, and we see that there are other people in the community that they can relate to. And it is about building that strong community. I know right now it's kind of got friends that are PCSing and moving, and Kathy, you talked a little bit about this as well. I mean, we've got over 600,000 military service members and their families right now PCSing and transitioning, but they're doing that every single year. So I love that we are doing a Blue Star Welcome Week. And I kind of want to give you the opportunity to kind of expand a little bit on, on how that came about and how you feel about it. Because I know chapter directors, we're kind of excited. We've got some big things planned. But I would love to hear from you, Kathy.
I'm super excited about this. And, Blue Star Families, one of the fun things about it is that we're constantly iterating. We're thinking about what are our problems, what are our solutions, how do we make them real for the people in our community. A solution is only good if it's good for the person you're trying to reach, you know? And so how do we make things easy and fun? How do we make it easy to understand? How do we create a moment that people can get? And I think we've been learning as we've been growing about how to do that. I'm excited about the idea of Welcome Week, because I think it brings into focus something that's a key part of our lives, but in a way that's really easy for people to understand. You know, we are moving all the time. And when you move, you break all your connections and you have to make them again. And if you don't make those connections again, everything's going to go downhill. You know, I put the lens of my experience through things because, you know, lots of times people who are in the nonprofit space or want to solve problems, they come from a social work background or a community service background, and they think, let's find a resource to help people. Well, I never wanted a resource when I had a problem. I wanted a friend, you know? And so how do we set that up so that people have people that they can trust and they can care about who can help them? And that means making those connections when you move into a place. And what better time to make a connection, but, you know, after you've gotten yourself settled, you got, you know, a couple of pictures on the wall, your kids are in school, and now let's get to know our folks. So if we can create a week, tell the story, the outside society can get it. Oh my God, these people have moved. It's traumatic for me to have my kid change schools and I didn't even move. Imagine, you know, I moved my whole family and then I moved them again. People can understand that. And also those of us who move, we can understand the idea of being welcome. So I don't have to educate anyone. People get it right away. And we try to make it easy for them. We try to make it fun. We don't try to solve all the problems at once. Let's build on it year over year. And that gets us to Welcome Week. Let's welcome people into the community so they can have their network, so they can solve their own problems, so that everybody's life is better.
And for those of you curious about when Welcome Week is, it is the last week of September. So that last week of September, you're going to have to stay posted. Follow the Facebook pages. Make sure you have registered and you're checking those emails, reading those emails. Chapter directors, how are you guys feeling about Welcome Week?
I can speak to that just
Go ahead.
briefly. So as you all know, I don't know who wouldn't know that New York is a pretty big place. So I loved the line that Kathy said, solution is only good for the people we want to reach. So I live in an area that it's hard to reach a lot of people, just and then the idea that New York City can seem pretty intimidating. So my goal ever since I started this was to make a big city feel like a small town. So my motivation generally when I'm building programs is that what will my families feel? What will they experience in order to feel like, you know what, the city is not as big as I always thought it was, or that impression that they had. So I want to be that face. I want my people in my chapter. I want my volunteers to be friends. Like Kathy said, I don't want a solution or a resource. I want a friend. So that is a motivator for me too, to make big city feel like a small town.
I love that.
I do too. I love that. So you guys watching, you have a friend in all of us. So, you know, stop and connect with your chapter directors and our fellows, right, Tonya?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I love what Allyson said about taking a big city and making it feel small, right? Because here in DC, I've done overseas moves. I've done overseas moves by myself, with my husband being in the, you know, place we're leaving and me going with the kids. But this one is hard. DC is really overwhelming. So the idea of taking the elephant, making it bite-sized, but not only that, it's such a cool tourist place, but we really want to focus on too, like getting people the insider scoop, right? So not the stuff that you hear on the tourist traps and, you know, oh, go to this and go to this. We want to give our military members that inside source, right? That inside feeling to feel like a local, because that's what really makes us feel at home and like we're part of a community, is when we know the secret places that only the locals go, not just the people that are coming through to check out our town. So I'm super excited to get to connect with our community and do more of that.
We're excited too. We're so excited for you guys. We're so excited. And I know certain chapters have fellows. Maggie, your chapter is one that has an amazing fellow, correct?
I do. I have Brittany, and she's amazing. She hit the ground running and is already planning some things for Welcome Week as we work together on our events. And just the energy she brings. I needed it personally, I feel. We come out of that kind of COVID cold and, we're breaking out of the Zoom meetings, and we're super excited that we're going to be able to get back in person starting next month. So, just that motivation, the energy, and I feel like I have a team member, right? I just feel like I can really reach more families than I couldn't have had in the past. And I'm just excited to have her. So
she is fantastic. Suzy, how's it going out in Tampa? How are you feeling about everything?
I'm feeling super excited. I can't believe this is my first big project that I get to work on is Welcome Week. Having moved, it was so funny. I think on my Tampa landing page, I said 12 times, and my husband's like, Suzy, I think it's 14. And I'm like, oh, I've just stopped counting. I just stopped. So having known that feeling of not really feeling welcome in my new community and how long it takes to feel like you're part of a new town, a new city, I'm super excited that this is my first big project with Blue Star Families. And I'm really looking forward to making Tampa's Welcome Week the best it possibly can be.
Woohoo. And I know that we've had some family members that have moved from Missouri. So we have some Blue Star families out in Tampa because they've reached and they said, I see some activity. I see some stuff is going on. So they're really excited to kind of connect. So definitely making sure if you're watching, we are nationwide. So pretty much if you want to get connected, you can get connected. So make sure that you join us, follow that page, bluestarfam.org. You make sure you want to sign up and become a member. But I'd like to kind of go back because we've heard Kathy's perspective on the annual Military Family Lifestyle Survey, and I would love to hear your perspectives. How do you feel about it? Go for it, Tonya.
I was like, I would love to jump in and start. I love the survey. And the thing that I love the most about the survey is that the data is used. I feel like there's so often that we submit opinions, experiences, whatever, and nothing comes from it. And that is so frustrating, right? And I love that here at Blue Star Families, when we ask for your experiences and we want to hear your voice and we want to hear your opinions, we take that and we make changes, right? Whether it's through policy, whether it's through partnerships, whether it's through programming. I think that is just so valuable. And that it's something that as military families, we need and we don't necessarily get enough of. So I'm really excited to be a part of the family here at Blue Star Families and getting the survey out. And I've done the survey and I've been pushing it out to all my friends just because it is such an important thing and useful.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, can I jump in real quick, Suzy? I want to say what even with our Zooms and whatnot, we have had such a greater reach than we could have had in person for some events. And what I love is I'll go give a presentation, but someone says, we use that survey, like Kathy said earlier, for our programs. And it's validation. You kind of feel valid in the community and what you're doing. And then we'll be on other events and you see spouses within the chat saying, really take this survey. The survey is everything. And just knowing that they're listening, people are listening and they're wanting to take it and they realize the impact of this survey for their organizations.
Were you going to chime in, Suzy?
Yeah, what I was going to say is one of the things we always say around our house, you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And that is what survey does. It lets us know what we need to know to make a difference. Being a math major, that's what I did when I was younger. It's important. Numbers are important because they represent real lives and real problems, and then possibly real solutions to the problems. One of the biggest takeaways I took from survey this year was the mental health of our children. It meant a lot to me to actually see the number. It was a shock to me, but having such a, my husband's been 30 years active duty military service. So I have a lot of military friends across this nation and personally know of children that have had mental health crisis during COVID. And to see that number in writing will hopefully let us have better resources in the future. We have good resources, but they can always be better and more accessible for our families. So it meant a lot to me to see that part of the survey. So thank you. Thank you, Kathy, for the survey. I appreciate it.
Hey, Suzy, and I just want to, jump in on that with, Holly and Millie, the wife of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, reached out to us to get the data from the mental health of military children from our survey, because she had a meeting coming up with the First Lady, and she wanted to bring that survey data to her and making sure that she was paying attention to it, as we're thinking about what kinds of actions are going to be taken. So, that's a great example of that data. You can't do that with an anecdote, but you can do that with data.
Absolutely. So for any of you on, what are some other findings that really kind of hit home for you from the survey? Anything that stood out that you're like, oh my gosh, this is really
the impossible choice, right? That Kathy mentioned earlier, that balance between where are my kids going to go to school and where am I going to live? And for us, that has sometimes ended up with my kids in different school districts and different schools. And, I've got 3 kids, and our last move, they were in 2 districts, 3 schools, because that was what we had to do in order to make it work for them. And then that played into spousal employment, right? Because when you're dealing with that and you're taking these kids to hither, thither, and yon, how do I keep a job while I'm driving everybody around? So seeing those numbers and seeing that, because sometimes it feels like you're the only one there. So seeing that it wasn't just me that was like jumping through these hoops and having to balance all of this was really, it hit because education's a big one for me. So that really, I felt that one.
It's kind of hard to choose when you see like all of the good stuff. There's so many things out there. And there's even stuff like, of course, when we present, if you're in any of our briefings, sometimes we do highlight those top issues, but there's so many others that we can kind of dive into. And it's just important. Allyson, you look like you were going to come off of mute. Go ahead. I'll let you chime in.
Thank you. The mental health for our children, that was really one that I really, that was very important to me, and that word is getting out. But another part that I was trying as a chapter director, like what can we do to help, was the food insecurity of 14% of our enlisted families are reporting food insecurity. And that was alarming. I think Kathy said earlier that people just assume, well, military families, or military service members, they have their, they get paid, and the government, they have their wages and all that kind of stuff. But we've got a lot of folks that are struggling. And so I was able to do just one, small part. The chapter came together. A lot of our local partners came together and said, we want to do what we can to try to fight what we can in this community. So we had a great food distribution event. So many partners coming together on May 1st just to help our military and veteran families with food insecurity. But that was something that I thought really alarming for our military families and veteran families.
I love that we are being active and helping solve part of the solution, right? So I love that we're being part of the solution. Allyson, I love what you're doing. I love what everyone is doing. I love what Blue Star, I love what we do. I love this organization. I really do. So I think that it's important and really kind of imperative that you all take the time to take the survey. We know it's very comprehensive. We take it. So, Tonya was saying she took it too. So we know that it is going to take you some time. There are some new questions that have been added. We're going to drop the link in the comments. So don't worry about like having to write it down or anything. We're going to make it super easy for you. And if you just want to know a simple website, which is going to be easy reference for everything, is bluestarfam.org. So just go there. There's going to be the link to pop up to tell you to take the survey. There'll be the membership that you can join to become a member. You can find out about all the chapter events. So that is a good website to know. And again, we're gonna add that link in the comments for you. So Kathy, I'd love to share the question that I have from Allyson Miller, who is one of our superb volunteers. She's like a super duper volunteer. We just absolutely are so blessed to have her out at Scott Air Force Base. And she is a family that's they'll be moving soon. So I don't know which chapter is going to be lucky enough to get her. We'll see. But so Allyson had a question for you. And she said, when you first meet someone who has never heard of Blue Star Families, what do you think is the most important point to get across immediately, whether he, she, or they is military or civilian?
So that's a tricky one, because I have a different one if you're military than if you're civilian. Because it really is, they have different meanings for what they want and who the person is and what they know. But if it's just totally generic, I say we're the largest nonprofit serving military and veteran families in America. That's my, if you one short thing to say, that's it. But if it's a military family, I say, join us. It's free, and we have a lot of free stuff for you. Because all I need to do is get you in the door. Once I got you in the door, I can give you everything else. I just need to make it easy and simple and give you a reason to become a member. Join us. It's free, and you get a ton of free stuff.
And everyone loves free.
Everyone loves free.
So it definitely is great. And speaking of the free things, membership is free, but you're going to have to make sure that you activate your membership by creating a username, log in on our bluestarfam.org website. So make sure that you all do that. Kathy, it has been such an honor having you on. I'm learning some things. I'm feeling more empowered and ready to go out and like, come on, let's do some more survey events. And even though I know as chapters, we're like, survey events.
Yeah.
But we love it. We're more empowered now. Kathy, is there anything else that you would like to mention, to speak on? The floor is yours if there's anything that you'd like to share.
Well, I just thank you for having me. It's really fun I love being on Tea with Ty. It was really fun to be on with my wonderful colleagues here. I love an opportunity to do it again anytime. So I think this is what Blue Star Families is all about, right? It's about the connections, the warmth, the solving problems together, and being really happy about doing it too.
And we are happy. Right, guys? Look at the smiles. We're all happy. Yeah. These aren't fake smiles. These are real deal. We're happy to provide service and bring a stronger community to your area. So we're all about it. All right, chapter directors. Tonya, do you guys have anything that you'd like to add? Any upcoming events? Tell us what we can expect.
Go ahead. Oh, you go first.
Wednesday, I'm going to be at the McDill Exchange with survey cards and some free candy. So if anybody in the Tampa Bay area, come by and see me.
Survey and sweets. Oh, yeah. Like it.
And then Friday evening, we got a virtual East versus West competition trivia night coming up. And anybody that's been listening to this is going to have one up on everybody else, because in the midst of all the trivia questions, there's going to be survey questions. So you've been watching, you're going to win some prizes. So come 7 p.m., I believe it is, Eastern time. But again, check any of our Facebook pages and you'll be able to see the details for that Friday night.
Oh, yeah. And I'm just going to throw that out there that since Missouri, we're kind of like Midwest. So, West, we've got to beat the East. So come on, sign up, register.
Well, I don't know what to do.
Well, I was gonna say I've been working out because I'm Team West, so I'm bringing it, Allyson. It's on.
Come on, nobody can. It's the Big Apple. If you can do it here, you can do it anywhere.
Maggie, do you have any updates?
Updates. We're just super excited to be able to connect with the community coming up throughout the summer. Planning Welcome Week, and everyone pay attention to the Facebook San Diego page for some opportunity giveaways this summer. So
there's more free everywhere. So yes, definitely make sure you're following. All right, Miss Tonya, any updates?
Well, we will be giving out ice cream and survey cards Thursday down at Fort Belvoir. If anybody wants to come visit us out there. And super exciting, we're having a tie-dye party for end of the school year on June 7th, because I love a good tie-dye party. So follow our Facebook page. There'll be more information there to get signed up.
See, I wish I was kind of closer. I don't think I've been to a tie-dye party, but now I want to go. Now I'm like, what am I missing? You guys get to find out.
It's going to be groovy.
And ice cream.
Tie day.
We might have to work out. So volunteers, if you're watching and you're familiar with that, don't let me lead it, because I have no idea what I'll be doing, but I'll be there to be part of the entertainment. So how about that? So definitely making sure that wherever you are, you're making sure that you're getting connected. Again, you become a member at bluestarfam.org. Membership is free. And here's the thing, you do not have to be a military ID card holder, past or present, to become a member. You can be a civilian neighbor. You can be a mom of someone whose child has joined the service. If you want to join and support our military community and strengthen that community, please make sure you join us and be a part of it. So go to bluestarfam.org and click that join button. And also make sure that you take the survey. Now with the survey, you do need to have a military connection for that survey because we want to hear your voices and hear your stories. So make sure that you're taking that survey and sharing and then encouraging your spouse to take it, your neighbors to take it, your friends. I have kids now that are like, they're still kids. I know. They never grow up to parents, right? I don't know. I can't be the only one, but they're active duty and they are National Guard members now. And I can get on them and say, hey, did you take the survey? Did you share it with your friends? So make sure that they take it as well. So thank you all so much for joining here in the Missouri community and really nationwide. I'm really excited to say officially on June 1st, you'll probably hear about some upcoming in-person events as well. Don't worry, we're still going to be safe and practicing all of those social distance, and because we want to make sure that you guys are safe as well. So, but more to come. Thank you for joining. Thank you again, Kathy. Appreciate you all. I am Ty Kimes. I'm going to sign off, doing my best to tie you all to your community. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye.